Okay, so hi Maulik. Um,
Hey, hi,
so
Parth.
my first question to you is around Metaverse and the Meta stock, actually more specifically, is what do you think? I mean, 70% of their entire valuation has been just eroded off in the
Yeah.
last few months, which is insane, right? Considering it's such a huge company. And now what we are seeing is like they're kind of trying to move into the metaverse. Like, what do you think? Is this something that's doable? Is this a good plan, or are they setting up for failure?
Yeah, I would ideally like to separate the two, the meta stock and metaverse as a technology that they are pursuing. Uh, the the stock is not just reflection of what the technology is capable of doing. I think it's a reflection of where they are coming from. Just by rebranding as Meta does not mean that they are just now a metaverse company. They still have other businesses that are supposed to be the cash cow uh, for doing this innovation that they are trying to fund. The problem that they have is that cash cow for business, the ads business, has suffered greatly in recent years. Also, their perception in terms of how they handle user data. And With that perception going down each day, everyone being more mindful about what kind of data they share with Facebook or any of the Facebook companies, and Apple putting a dagger in their heart last year with the ad pop-up, right? I think those factors are definitely at play in what you see in the Meta stock, which is down by $800 billion in market cap in this year. That's like I was just reading the article and it mentioned that the amount of market cap they have lost is more than most companies even aim to have together. Like most big companies don't even have that kind of market cap together.
Maybe countries for that matter.
Countries for that matter, right? So that is all about Meta stock, and they are. It's also a reflection of they are trying to make a big pitch around this technology, which is going to give them returns much in the future. They are not saying this will be successful tomorrow, next year, the year after that. They are trying to talk about after 8 to 10 years. That kind of patience from shareholders is very difficult ask. It's like if I were to draw an analogy, it's like iPhone was introduced without iPod success. I think Meta does not have that iPod success to directly build on iPhone success. That's what their Quest Pro headset is. So I think they are missing a step in between, and that is what shareholders are not liking, and that is reflected in the in their stock. So that's all about stock.
Yeah.
If I come to the technology itself, I think it has great potential. You have some great adoption all around. Initially, any emerging tech would have more concentrated adoption in terms of content creators and or gamers who are trying to take up use cases which are really shining on that new platform. So that's something you see even recently when Technique was at Jitex. We had a different event only focused on metaverse called Xverse. So there's definitely a lot of traction, a lot of creators coming to the platform, building things, and that always brings more avenues for technology to grow organically. And of course, after pumping in $20 billion into technology, it has to show the potential. I'm not necessarily sure that this technology will be successful with Facebook or with Meta. It may be successful in some other word entirely. And the biggest problem I see with metaverse as a technology is that word is Facebook vision is to build a platform that they can control entirely, a new internet. And most of the world doesn't want it. Like they don't want their new internet to be controlled by a platform that is well known for selling their data left, right, and center. I think that is the biggest problem they face in making metaverse a success. but as a technology, it will become successful in some other form. And right now, if I have to summarize, I think they are running a very expensive experiment, which is bound to be successful. But with them, I'm not sure. It may be successful by some other company who would just build on their learnings and will take the prize away. It could be Apple, it could be Microsoft, it could be someone else. Right now, the odds are against them to make this technology successful within Meta.
Okay. And I think I really like the point that you were saying that the idea of metaverse is supposed to be decentralized, right? Web3 is supposed to be decentralized. And what Facebook is essentially trying to do is trying to centralize it and try to own it itself. So defeating the process.
Correct. So it's one problem that their vision is much farther in the future, but a bigger problem is most people are not wishing them the success of achieving that vision. Like, I think in a way you have to, even though your vision is far, people should be able to relate to your vision and should be able to say, wow, I mean, I would really want this company to achieve it. And most people are not saying that. And that's Meta's problem, I guess, not Metaverse technology's problem. It will just change the word and be successful in someone else's hands.
So, Maulik, now you're hearing all about the Twitter controversy. It's all over the place, from Stephen King to Alexandria Cortez. You have everybody kind of giving their piece of advice on this, and now Elon is charging $8 probably for the blue tick and the massive layoffs. Like, there are two sections to this. Like, how do you agree with him charging that amount for a blue tick, and how do you think that he handled the layoffs that are happening?
Yeah, I think this is much talked about. In my opinion, what Elon is doing is expected out of him. He's I find him consistent with his words and actions. Not necessarily right always, but he's consistent in what he says and what he does. What is happening was already expected. Once he took over, he wanted to optimize, he wanted to clean up, and that is what is happening. And in introducing this $8 verification thing, it is one of his experiments. I expect him to run more experiments to find the right footing. What I don't understand is how everyone is making it his problem. Like, he bought Twitter. Now he's an easy target for people. But wherever Twitter is, whatever they are doing today, whatever layoffs they have decided to do, without going into the manner in which they are being done, if you look at from the organization and its sustainability perspective, this is something that the previous administration, previous management should have looked into, which they haven't done. The Twitter has been criticized throughout its journey about not being enough profitable for the kind of companies that they compete with. And to change that course, there will be some radical actions. So I see this as one of the radical action that Elon Musk has taken to change that path.
Let me try to play a devil's advocate here. Some of the reading that I've done around moonlighting is the fact that they've been working for the competition. So, I mean, probably that's where you can draw the line, right? I mean, Infosys, if you're working for TCS, and probably that is something that's a gray area that you
are. Definitely. I think that is not moonlighting. That is double employment or whatnot.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
I don't. I think it is not possible for someone to have two complete shifts of work and still be productive on both of them. It would be rare, at least. You considering you need 6-7 hours of sleep at least. Committing your 16 hours of productivity is not a wise move. I think moonlighting has to be more. It needs to be more mindful from the employee's perspective on not putting them under so much stress that they are hurting their commitments. on any side rather. So, I think as part of moonlighting, whosoever they work with, there is a commitment to them as well. Make sure you don't hurt that, and at the same time, make sure you don't hurt the commitment you have made to your full-time employer. So, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But and working with competition in particular, I think you have to draw a line there. It is not advisable because conflict of interest is really easy.
Yeah.
So I think that's where, if you engage in a positive conversation instead of saying this is not allowed, you can set those boundaries for your people and say that we understand if you want to engage in these activities, but these are the boundaries that we want you to respect. You're coming from a position where you are saying that you are committed to this business. You cannot possibly do something that can harm this business. And I think anybody would understand that perspective and would surely respect it. So creating that transparency and creating engaging in that conversation could be much healthier than completely than asking to completely avoid it.
Confrontationalist, like right now, how
Correct.
it is seeming to look like.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, the responsibilities on the employee side to understand those business objectives and make sure they do not harm them. Because at the end of the day, they have to understand their growth is also somewhere linked to the organizations they work with. If in any way they are harming that organization, they are stunting their own growth somewhere, knowingly or unknowingly.
Now that we see the Ukrainian crisis unfolding, unfortunately, and the soaring inflation in the US, questions are being raised about the infamous R word that keeps coming up, which is recession. And of course, because we are in the domain of tech hiring, what is your outlook for tech hiring, considering all these challenges across the world are popping up, for the Indian context and for the global context? Where do you see tech hiring heading towards?
Yeah, I think the word recession is itself continuously evolving. And that's why we are talking about it without really defining whether we are in it, whether we are past it, how long we'll be in it. But we are going through a difficult period for sure. And multiple factors at play. Coming out of pandemic, the economies were still getting stabilized, and suddenly the world order is being disrupted through the war. And that has direct impact on energy markets more than I think any other wars that we have seen in the past, with all major oil economies somewhere involved, and they are playing a big part in shaping up the new world order. So yeah, and when energy markets are strained this way, the government's focus goes towards how do we just make sure that we are making the ends meet first. And all the policies, all the decisions also start aligning towards that narrative that makes sure the house is not on fire. And those policies, those decisions have a way to trickle down to businesses as well. They are not, the businesses are not insulated from those policies at all. Quite the opposite. So it is clear that the funding has dried up, but that does not mean that the funding has completely gone away. There are bets being made, and so as long as those activities continue, it will lead to tech hiring, because the moment an idea raises funds or a business decides an innovation that they want to run, they will have to build a team that can execute it. And those team of engineers, sometimes they already have, or sometimes they have to scale up, and that's how the tech hiring will function. It definitely is on freeze, and I think tech freezes tech hiring freezes are definitely always of a major concern than layoffs. I'll tell you why. It's like if there are layoffs happening, but if the tech hiring is much higher, those people will get absorbed really quickly. So usually tech hiring freezes are a more grim indicator of how the economy is doing than the layoffs. Layoffs are more correctional. Tech hiring freezes are a signal of we don't know where this is going. Let's just pause. So that's where we are at right now. That's what businesses are also saying. We don't know some of the factors that will impact us. So let's be conservative. And tech hiring freeze is a way of business saying the same to the world. They are taking less risks. I think it will continue for some time till the energy markets are disrupted. And of course, it has these things have a chain reaction or delayed chain reaction. So even if something gets fixed, it won't be all rosy right away in the tech hiring world. But I also see it as an opportunity. Because we have seen it in pandemic that the demand was through the roof, but the supply was just not there. I'm not trying to objectify the talent here, but overall, the talent that was required to do innovation at that speed that the organizations wanted was not there. So we can see this as an opportunity to focus more towards understanding or helping talent understand themselves, help them upskill, be ready for that next wave. You cannot do that scaling when the next wave comes in. You have to be ready in advance. And I think we as an industry should look at this phase as an opportunity to upskill, to also help overall everyone ask the question whether they are doing the right thing when it comes to the way they go about doing tech hiring, whatever they do, how they can streamline those processes, how they can make sure they have the right process in place to scale them their technology teams as quickly as possible. So I think this is the time where organizations can take that introspective approach to ask these questions, because when it will again start, I don't think organizations will get a chance to ask those questions.
So along those lines, I have a follow-up question for you. Let's say you're an engineer, a general engineer and software engineer who's probably working on a bunch of languages, and you see where the world is heading. And like what you said, right? It's going to be like a sine curve, right? It's going to go up and it's going to go up. But we should build ourselves for the wave, right? We are ready to ride the wave when it comes. So we're building ourselves. So as an engineer, let's say you are an engineer, what steps would you take in order to equip yourself for the next wave?
Yeah, I think as an engineer, the world should be comparatively simpler. Your goal is to upskill yourself, to make yourself relevant. Internet is so easy to anyone who wants to upskill themselves, not just engineers, but anyone. But for engineers specifically, if they want to learn anything, it is really difficult to not find something really useful and learn. So I see an equivalent or even larger opportunity for those engineers to take that time to upskill and to get hands-on as well. Join an organization where you can relate to their culture. You can contribute to a live project, because contributing to a live project is the best way to apply your skills. There is no replacement to it. You can do the best course that is available out there, but unless you have worked on a live project, I don't think you understand how to fill the gaps. And filling those gaps sometimes is a more important function than just coding. We truly believe engineer success is not just about coding skills. It is about how they understand the audience, the business that they are serving, how they collaborate with their teammates, how they are contributing to the culture at large. And these things you just can't learn on the internet. So upskill in terms of coding, yes, make yourself relevant, and then get hands on in any opportunity that gives you perspective on the other things that matter in the real world. Uh, Unfortunately, there cannot be a course around how to be part of a culture.